The beef section still looks stocked, but look closer at the price per pound and you'll notice something is shifting. Retail beef hit nearly $9 a pound earlier this year. The cattle herd is at its lowest level in roughly 75 years. Production is declining, and by the time this becomes obvious at the checkout line, the shelf-stable protein alternatives, the boring cans most people walk past every week, will already be gone. You still have time, but not if you wait for the shelf to look empty first. Number 14. Canned chunk chicken. This is the easy one, which is exactly why it ends up at the bottom of the list. Almost every grocery store carries canned chicken, so most households own a few cans and figure they are covered. But here is the part most people miss. The store brand family-size can disappears before the name brand does. The Kirkland multi-pack at the Warehouse Club goes to a 2 per customer limit while the individual tins remain on the shelf. And individual tins are not the same thing. One small can feeds a snack, not a household dinner. For cooking flexibility, casseroles, soups, pasta, rice dishes, you need volume, not a single-serve portion. Also worth knowing, chicken in water is the most versatile format. Chicken in oil changes the flavor profile of a dish, whether you want it to or not. Chicken in broth sounds appealing, but limits how you season the rest of the meal. Water is the one format that disappears into a recipe without arguing. Pick up 2 or 3 multi-packs, rotate them into your normal meals, and move on. But do not stop here. This is where most people stop paying attention. Number 13. Canned albacore tuna. Canned tuna feels too ordinary to talk about, which is what makes it dangerous to overlook. Most households have a few cans sitting in the back of the pantry. That is not a stockpile. Tuna was one of the first items to disappear during COVID-19 demand spikes, and it moved fast. Not the fancy pouches, the bulk packs. The albacore in water, the large cans, the no salt added versions went first. The chunk light in oil stayed on the shelf longer because fewer people reach for it in a real crunch. If you are only keeping 5 or 6 cans on hand, you are holding a condiment, not a protein strategy. Stock 12 to 24 cans, focus on albacore in water, and rotate them into your normal lunches. The window where tuna is boring and cheap is the window you want to be shopping in. It will not stay boring forever. Fish is the obvious category. The next one is not. Number 12. Canned pink salmon. Pink salmon is the quiet one. It sits on the shelf, nobody fights over it, and most households skip it entirely. That calm is temporary. When demand rises, affordable pink salmon is the first to go. And what remains is premium red sockeye at double the price, with a substitution tag where the pink used to be. That price gap matters. Pink salmon is not a lesser product. It is a nutritionally dense option that provides omega-3 fats. And if you eat the soft edible bones, a meaningful source of calcium that canned tuna simply does not offer. Most people throw those bones away, not knowing they are the nutritional point of the whole can. Buy 6 to 12 cans of pink salmon before the category collapses into premium-only territory. Once the affordable version disappears into an empty slot, the only option left costs significantly more and tastes no better. Number 11. Canned sardines. Nobody wants to talk about sardines. That is exactly what makes them one of the smartest things on this list. During the Depression, sardines were a staple because their calorie-to-cost ratio is nearly unmatched among canned proteins. They came back during COVID when people were clearing shelves and suddenly paying attention to what actually kept a household fed. Here is the shelf signal. When demand starts rising, sardines in olive oil and sardines in tomato sauce disappear first. Those are the formats that work as ingredients. Toss them into pasta, onto crackers, into a grain bowl. The plain water version stays on the shelf because nobody reaches for it first. If you have only ever seen sardines in water, you have been shopping for the wrong format. Pick up 2 to 4 cases of mixed formats and treat them as an ingredient, not a standalone meal. A shortage of calorie-dense, shelf-stable, 3 to 5 year protein is not something you can easily backfill. Now we move into what most people think of as real protein. Number 10. Canned corned beef. Most households have bought a can of corned beef exactly once. It sat in the pantry for 2 years, got thrown out because nobody wanted to deal with it, and was never replaced. That is the gap. Corned beef is one of the most calorie-dense and satisfying shelf-stable meats available, and when demand rises, the affordable store-brand version disappears, while the premium Libby's or Hormel can stays at $5 or more. The functional product remains, just not the accessible one. Here is the twist most people miss. Corned beef hash is a separate product category, and it moves even faster than corned beef itself because it requires almost zero preparation. Open it, heat it, eat it. No recipe needed. The hash format has already become harder to find in the larger practical sizes. Stock 6 to 12 cans of each and treat them as two separate purchases because they solve two different problems. And this is where things get less obvious. Number 9. Canned Vienna sausages. Serious preppers often skip Vienna sausages because they feel cheap and low quality. That is exactly why they disappear first. These are not being bought by people running serious pantry operations. They are being grabbed by ordinary families during hurricane warnings, power outages, and demand spikes because they are the lowest barrier protein on the shelf. You do not need a can opener in some formats. You do not need heat. You do not need to do anything except open the tin. During COVID and during major weather events, Vienna sausages consistently cleared before many more serious, shelf-stable proteins. The multi-pack warehouse format goes while the small individual tins remain, and the affordable generic version disappears before the name brand. That sounds minor until you are 3 days into a power outage and trying to feed someone who does not want to cook over a camping stove. Pick up 2 or 3 multi-packs, rotate them. They are your no cooking, no refrigeration, no argument backup. Small and cheap, yes. Overlooked for the wrong reasons. The next item is in the same overlooked category, but solves a completely different gap. Number 8. Deviled ham, potted meat. This one sits below eye level in most grocery stores. Most people walk past it without a second glance, which means it rarely gets tracked and rarely gets noticed when it quietly goes out of stock. The substitution tag appears, nobody writes about it, and the shelf just quietly shifts. What most serious stockpilers are missing is spreadable, high-calorie, no-preparation protein. The pantry might have meals, but it often does not have snacks, quick fuel, or the option that requires no dish, no pot, and no setup. Deviled ham and potted meat have shelf lives in the 2 to 5 year range. Their fat content makes them genuinely calorie-dense in a way most canned meats are not. 6 to 10 cans, rotated with crackers or flatbread, gives the pantry a no-cook option that does not require anyone to decide what to make for dinner. That brings us to the item that sounds like a punchline until the shelf is empty. Number 7. Spam and Spam Light, low-sodium varieties. Spam is not funny. It experienced documented confirmed shortage conditions during COVID-19. It is made domestically by Hormel, which means supply chain disruptions from overseas do not automatically fix it. Demand simply outpaced production. Here is what most people miss about Spam. The classic 12-ounce single can is rarely the one that disappears first. Spam Light, Spam less sodium, Spam with turkey, and the multi-pack warehouse format go first. The variety that keeps the pantry from becoming a sodium problem is the one that gets scarce. Watch for warehouse multi-packs going to online backorder while individual cans stay in stores. That is the early signal. Pick up 2 multi-packs. Prioritize a low-sodium version if your household has any health considerations around sodium, and store everything below 75 degrees Fahrenheit. This is one of the confirmed historical shortage items. It will not be different next time. Pork is covered now, the item that surprises nearly everyone. Number 6. Canned roast beef, beef chunks. Here is the part most people miss. This is the shelf-stable format that most directly replaces fresh ground beef in a recipe, and most households have never bought it once. Brands like Keystone and Yoder's are not in a typical grocery aisle. They live in specialty prep sections, at warehouse clubs occasionally, or online. And online is exactly where they go to backorder status first. When demand starts rising for canned beef, and it will follow fresh beef prices upward, because the cattle herd is at a 75-year low, with no meaningful recovery expected before 2027, those backorders appear before the grocery aisle even looks different. The retail version in small single-serve cans will remain while the multi-serving practical format disappears. Premium products from Keystone carry 5 to 10 year shelf lives. Standard retail versions carry 2 to 3. Stock 6 to 12 cans of a known brand now, at a price that still makes sense. The window where canned beef is affordable and available is narrowing in the same direction as fresh beef. But here is the protein format that most households have genuinely never considered. Number 5. Freeze-dried ground beef. Meat crumbles. This is not a grocery store product for most households. It lives at warehouse clubs, specialty retailers, and online. It carries a 10 to 15-year shelf life in sealed cans and a price that reflects that. And it is the only shelf-stable format that genuinely behaves like fresh ground beef in a recipe, not chunks. Not shredded. Ground crumbles that reconstitute into taco meat, chili, spaghetti sauce, and any other recipe that starts with browning ground beef. Canned beef chunks work well in stews. They do not replace ground beef in the same way. During 2020 through 2022, back orders for freeze-dried meat products spiked repeatedly, and the affordable entry-level pouches disappeared first. Only the largest, most expensive SKUs remained available at prices that had jumped significantly. The window where freeze-dried ground beef is a calm, considered purchase rather than a panic buy is right now. 2 to 4 large cans or equivalent pouches rotated into normal cooking to justify the cost. That is the premium category. The next item costs almost nothing but solves a completely different problem. Number 4. Canned turkey. Walk into a grocery store in March and try to find canned turkey. It is not there. It left with the holiday display in January and will not come back until October. That is a 9-month window where canned turkey is genuinely difficult to find in most retail stores, and most people only discover this when they are standing in the aisle looking for it. Turkey is the leanest canned meat option available. Without it, a long-term pantry leans heavily toward high-sodium, high-fat proteins with nowhere to balance them. Brands like Keystone sell canned turkey year-round online, but at a premium over the holiday in-store price. Experienced buyers stock 6 to 12 cans in October and November when the product is easy to find, normally priced, and sitting right at eye level. That sounds minor until you realize the seasonal availability window is the shelf signal. The product is not running out. The window to buy it affordably and conveniently is. The next item has a different kind of vulnerability. Number 3. Canned pork, canned ham. Pork is the overlooked flavor engine of practical pantry cooking. It bridges the gap between bland canned chicken and high-sodium Spam in a way nothing else does. Canned pork in its own juices, including shelf-stable ham products, adds fat, depth, and genuine flavor to beans, rice dishes, stews, and soups. It is absent from most preparedness lists because pork feels less essential than beef or chicken. That absence is the gap. Store-brand canned pork is consistently hard to find. Even in normal conditions, the product category is small, and the generic version disappears before the name-brand version is even noticed. Here is the deeper twist. Canned pork in its own juices carries rendered fat. Fat is the macronutrient most emergency pantries are missing. Calories without fat lead to meal fatigue faster than most people expect. 6 to 10 cans of canned pork closes that gap more directly than almost anything else on this list. And fat, being the real problem, sets up the second item. Number 2. Shelf-stable meat sticks, jerky pouches, bulk format. This feels like a snack. That is exactly why it disappears quietly. Jerky and meat sticks are the only shelf-stable protein that requires zero preparation, zero cooking, zero refrigeration, and provides genuine satiation in a small serving. They are the power outage protein, the travel disruption protein, the 3 in the afternoon and nobody wants to cook protein. The bulk format is the critical piece. The Costco and Sam's Club multi-pound bags go to sold-out status while the individual 1-ounce sticks survive at checkout aisles. The affordable store-brand jerky disappears before the premium brand. And here is the twist that most pantry planning completely misses. Meat sticks are the one shelf-stable protein a child will eat without a negotiation. That makes them a morale item, not just a calorie item. A pantry without them creates real mealtime friction when stress is already high. 2 to 3 multi-pound bulk bags, rotated into regular lunches and snacks, and you have covered the no-cook, no-complaint gap in any serious pantry. And that sets up the item most people will never think about until the shelf where it lives is empty. Number 1. Canned bone broth, beef broth, shelf-stable cartons and cans. This is not a meat, that is the disguise. and that disguise is the reason most well-stocked pantries quietly fail. Picture a shelf with 40 cans of protein, chicken, tuna, spam, corned beef, sardines, everything above on this list. Now imagine cooking out of that shelf for 2 weeks, without broth, without any liquid fat or flavor base, rice cooked in water, canned chicken dumped into a bowl, beans boiled plain. Within days, the family stops eating the stored food because it is unpleasant. The pantry is full and functionally useless. Beef broth, shelf-stable cartons, and large cans is the item that turns a shelf of cans into actual meals. It is the psychological bridge between a normal kitchen and an emergency pantry. Swanson, Pacific, and store-brand 32-ounce cartons are inexpensive right now. The store-brand carton disappears first when demand spikes, and only the premium small-size version remains. Beef broth prices also track closely to beef prices because broth is a beef byproduct. As fresh beef becomes more expensive, the affordable broth formats follow the same pressure. 6 to 12 cartons or large cans, bought now at a price that still makes sense. This is the item that decides whether the rest of the list gets used or sits gathering dust. The lesson underneath all of this is not complicated. A pantry full of one protein, one format, and one flavor is not a pantry strategy. It is a shopping list that stops working under pressure. The beef price is already signaling something. The cattle herd is already constrained. The window where shelf-stable protein alternatives are boring, affordable, and easy to find is the window you want to be shopping in, not the one where everyone else is suddenly looking for the same thing at the same time. Pick 3 items from this list that are not already in your house. Add them on the next trip. Rotate them into meals you are already making. That is it. That is the whole move. The shelf does not have to be empty for the useful version to be gone.